On paper, the fusion of a Mirror Master style 2D hack and slash and a match 3 puzzler may sound odd, but give it a few minutes in the oven and Battle Chef Brigade will warm your heart. The game tells the story of Mina, a woman stuck working at her family's restaurant who wants nothing more than to compete in the Battle Chef Brigade tournament, an elite competition where competitors run out into the wilderness to hunt for ingredients and cook them into weird and wonderful concoctions. One day, Mina decides to leave her life behind and run away to compete, but it's not always so simple.
Mina. Ah! You cut my hand! I'm sorry, but you were about to hurt my friend.
Everything about this game is surprisingly gripping. The hand-drawn artwork is astonishing to admire, and while it's often static, the amazing voice acting makes it feel animated. Mina in particular has such an emotive voice actress. Mix that with a beautiful soundtrack and you have a recipe for success. But the story does more than breaking up the downtime between cook-offs. It's a really charming tale that goes in some unexpected directions. Mina may start her journey by wanting to compete in the tournament, but each of the 6 chapters introduces some kind of twist that shakes up even the more minor characters. The competition ends up taking something of a backseat when the real story kicks in, and you'll even take control of Mina's friendly orc competitor, Thrash, during a part of the story. Kind of similar to Persona, the story progresses in a calendar structure and it's up to you to decide what you do with your day. You can work part-time at a local restaurant, quickly rotating ingredients to match customer requests. You can solve puzzles for the local professor, hunt specific monsters for Thorn, or go to the market and buy new cookery equipment. Unlike Persona, you aren't limited by a timer, but it gives you a ton of things to do in between the main events of the game. No matter what you're doing, every single action ties into the core of the game, and all these side activities teach you the subtleties that you may otherwise overlook. The full-blown battles are absolutely thrilling. You're basically told a key ingredient to incorporate into your dish and the preferences of the judging panel, and then you run outside, hunt them down and cook them. So I may need to put a healthy amount of these birds into my meal as the key ingredient, but I also need to please the judge who prefers water-based meals. That means I should try and hunt down these squids who are rich in water. So not only do you prepare your food, but you hunt it and battle it. This creates such an involved and addictive take on your typical match 3 puzzler. But then again, this isn't exactly your typical puzzle game. Everything about this game feels responsive and fluid, whether you're casting spells and slashing the local creatures or trying your best to clear a cluttered grouping of colours. It always feels so good. And then as the game goes on, the judging team expands, all with different preferences, so you'll find yourself cooking multiple meals at a time and constantly juggling the act of running out to hunt for ingredients and then dashing back to cook them. The developers also found neat ways to incorporate the story events into the gameplay. For example, at the midway point, a virus spreads through the kingdom, infecting all the monsters. When cooking those infected monsters, the coloured spheres begin to crack, and if you can't match them after a few spins, they'll shatter. Not only does this throw a new kink into the gameplay, but it creates a world that feels alive and dynamic, and every single element complements another. When it comes to the battles though, there were a few oversights that I ran into. In the square, you can purchase different pans with different properties. For instance, some only cook red spheres, but you can burst them in groups of 2 rather than 3. Only problem is you choose your equipment before you start the battle and learn the judging panel's preferences. So you may go in prepared with fire cookery, only to learn they prefer water and earth. I also wish there was a faster way to restart other than exiting the game and reloading your save. It's a shame when the game is as fun as it is to have to jump through a few hurdles. The story ended up lasting me around 12 hours, and while I would argue that more than fulfills its value, there are still daily challenge cook-offs with a set of leaderboards. So while the story eventually ends, the addictive mix of hunting and puzzle solving never really has to, but this only really highlighted that there's no real multiplayer in this game. Games like Puyo Puyo Tetris have proven how fun puzzle-based multiplayer games can be, and with its diverse lineup of characters, it's a real shame that Battle Chef Brigade only lets you choose 2 of them. I also didn't find that your rival really has any kind of impact on the action at all. The 2 of you hunt in different areas of the wilderness, so you never really have any kind of interaction. All that really matters is that your final dish outranks theirs, and that's kind of random. Though there are a few areas that could use some fine-tuning, there's nothing quite like Battle Chef Brigade. It's such a beautiful world both in terms of art and character, and the ambitious genre clash paid off. Unlike other puzzle games, you'll really be in this for the story, and while that's fine, I feel like it could have easily housed some expanded modes. I guess it's a little half-baked there. Even though I wish it did a little more, I liked Battle Chef Brigade a lot. It commits to its story and succeeds as an incredibly weird concept. There's certainly potential to do more, but it's hard to feel let down by such a beautiful world and intense yet accessible gameplay. Thanks for watching, and be sure to subscribe to GameXplain for more on indies and other things gaming too.